I have thought about this address, my last State of the Village address as your mayor, for some time. Thinking back, I vividly recall 2 election nights. The first one was on November 4th of 2008, where on that historic night, the United States elected its first African-American president, and the village of El Portal elected its first Hispanic official. I was so humbled to be a part of history. With the community support, I ran again, not once but twice more unopposed in 2010 and 2012. The second night I recall was on November 4th, 2014, where I had, in a contested election, the honor of becoming your mayor, the first Hispanic mayor of El Portal. With your support, I ran for mayor because I had already served on the council for 6 years with pride, but I knew I could do more, a lot more, for you. And so I ran not once, but twice more, unopposed, in 2016 and in 2018. Thank you. Now, as we near the end of 2020 and my last month in office as mayor of El Portal, I have reflected on all that we have accomplished over the years, which has made El Portal what it is today, the best kept secret in Miami-Dade County. Shortly after I was elected in 2014, the Miami New Times called us the best place to buy real estate in Miami-Dade County. Yeah, we should be proud. But in order to continue great teamwork, it is important to not forget who we were and how we got here. In short, history matters. And I learned this from a pillar of the El Portal community who was my mentor when I was first elected. It was the late Libby Bowen, who often said, history matters because the threads of history enrich all of our lives. As such, I saved photographs from our progress over the past 12 years to honor the efforts and moments that matter most to all of us. So as I talk about our past, our present, and our future, you will see familiar faces and perhaps some people you have never met before, who I encourage you to either get to know or learn more about, as we are the fabric that binds our small yet diverse community. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Claudia Cubillos, and it is my distinct honor to serve as your mayor. My vision since 2008 is a thriving El Portal community. But before we move forward, let's take a step back. Back in 2008, when I went door to door during my campaign to get to know the members of our community, I recognized that diversity was our strength, and that fact built our foundation of collaboration, communication, and community. Within 2 weeks of being elected in November of 2008, based on what I learned from meeting with many residents in their living rooms, I knew I needed to reconnect our older generation with our precious children, who, as I predicted, were eager to learn from them. So I did this by hosting a pre-Thanksgiving luncheon. Our senior citizens were our guests of honor, and they connected with their young neighbors, preserving history. And from this dialogue, I also learned more about who we were, so I too could make better plans for us. The next important group I engaged in building community was our veterans, who motivated me to start our annual Armed Forces Day Run Walk in 2009. This event over the years has connected many diverse members of our community around one thing: honoring our military service members and their sacrifice. Where on the Run Walk, people got to know one another, becoming friends, and now even their kids go to school together. In 2010, I brought back senior luncheons so that we could listen and learn from members of our community like Vilma DeVille, Daisy Black, like Alva McLeod, like Libby Bowen, and so many others who are no longer with us today. This helped shape my vision for the village. I listened to the stories where these El Portal residents had done so much over time with so little, and it inspired me. Again, through these events, it was my goal to build community. They were a catalyst to bring us all together. And I took the time to learn, to meet people, to ask questions. So when I ran for mayor, I had a good pulse on what our diverse community wanted. and I used that to help launch us forward. So 2015, my first full year as mayor, was the springboard. It is the year many initiatives, big and small, came to fruition. I authored and published the Peacock Express, El Portal's newsletter, as many residents asked for better communication on what was happening in El Portal. I had the bike rack installed at the Village Hall, a new water fountain installed in the tot lot. The little free library number 1257 was installed and unveiled in front of the Village Hall. I coordinated our first adopt-a-plant in conjunction with upgrading the Village Hall landscaping. I directed permanent trash cans to be installed village-wide and doggy-doo stations for the benefit of our canine friends. I formed the first tree board so we can achieve a Tree City USA designation, and we did in 2017. I initiated Citizen of the Quarter through the Peacock Express, motivating more residents to get involved. El Portal then competed for and won the Miami Foundation grant, which provided $20,000 for the nature trail expansion. I created the Mayor's Task Force, resulting in new community-wide events such as the El Portal Art Fair, food truck nights, the county-wide new El Portal Village Shield Design Competition, farmers market. And this task force reinvigorated Citizens Crime Watch into the success it is today. In honor of the late Libby Bowen, I advertised in the Peacock Express my desire to bring back the El Portal Women's Club, a commitment I made to Libby. Women throughout El Portal called and wanted to be a part of it. As the founder of the 21st century El Portal Women's Club, I have given the women of today a platform and a voice. In short, through the power of communication and collaboration, we still were able to do so much, even in a small community with limited resources. The way I saw it and have continued to see it for 12 years is that if our forerunners were able to do great things with limited resources, why can't we continue to do so? I likely saw it this way because I am used to limited resources, because I am the youngest of 9 children born to Colombian immigrants who were determined to give my large family a better life here. Toys, books, clothes, foods, there was a constant scramble and competition between me and my siblings. Negotiations and stalemates, dealing with not enough. My parents taught me early on the value of working hard, of waking up early, and always showing up prepared. By leading by example themselves, we would need to work together as a family simply to even get out of the house in the mornings. Working hard, working together, communication and collaboration was not an option. It was a way of life. My grit, my perseverance, my resilience was instilled in me at an early age. And as an adult, it all came together and has long made sense. When I was a little girl, my father used to often say to me, "Mija, en la vida todo se resuelve cuando se comunica." Honey, in life, you can resolve almost anything when you communicate. El Portal, I have worked hard and communicated with you, year after year, with some late nights to early mornings, and even some around the clock, thanks to some strong cafecito. I can still hear my parents' voice in my head telling me, you have to get up, you have to show up, no excuses. Regardless of our differences and differences of opinion, we can be the best version of ourselves and come together for a common good. And we have done that. So this is a moment we should all embrace. El Portal, we may be small in size, but we are mighty in spirit, and we have driven positive change. So as I turn the page on this chapter of our story, I want to thank every person that has supported me in the last 12 years. I could not have come this far without your support. We have done some great work together. You embraced my vision of building community. I could not have done it alone. In many of my writings and social media postings, you have seen where I have written, "We are El Portal." And speaking of we, I want to take a moment to thank those who have diligently worked beside me to create a stronger, more unified, and resilient village. Our current village administration, Village Manager Christia Alou, Interim Village Attorney Norman Powell, Police Chief David Magnuson, the El Portal police officers and the Village Council, thank you. Former Village Manager Jason Walker, former Councilperson Adam Old, and former Councilperson Harold Mathis, yes, I am thanking you too. I can say the same about many of our residents throughout my 12 years in office who selflessly volunteered their time without hesitation. Believing in something bigger than themselves, they believed in our community. So I would like to thank Florence Chamberlain, Barbara Fuchel, Kristen McLean, Captain Iggy Carroll, David Ward and Hugh Gladwin, our 2018 and 2019 Citizens of the Year. Vamari Roman, she never had plans to run for office, but was committed to helping our community, first as chair of my El Portal Mayor's Task Force, and now as our councilperson. Thank you. Lastly, Noel Pace, my husband. Many times I was asked by so many of you, how do you find the time to do all that you do? And there is no way I could have selflessly given of my time if I hadn't myself married a public servant. My husband has served in the Army and Army Reserve for over 27 years. He is an Iraq War veteran. As an Army Colonel and Medical Brigade Commander during this global pandemic, he knows firsthand what it means to give back, to take charge, and to be a sounding board as needed for his soldiers. Noel, I thank you for always being who you are and for always being by my side at every El Portal meeting, event. Every moment you were always there, volunteering your time for this village too. It is these members of the community and their unwavering dedication to the village that will have a significant impact on this village for years to come. Together as leaders in our community, elected or otherwise, we have set priorities and taken action with a keen eye on what matters most, which I believe continues to make us the best kept secret in Miami-Dade County. And while I wish that we could enjoy this moment in person, that's just not possible. So I have recorded this 2020 State of the Village address from my home. Now as a community, we decide what's next. We set the tone. And in our ever-changing global environment, we must be decisive on all matters, just as we have been with our response to COVID-19. I, along with the village administration, have not stopped maintaining open communication and critical information sharing to keep our community as safe as possible during this health and economic crisis. We have done this through village email blasts, social media, and posts on the village website, and with our newsletter, the Peacock Express. I was the first elected official from El Portal to be chosen by my peers to serve as the president of the Miami-Dade County League of Cities. And I positioned myself to be heard for you. During the onset of COVID-19 in March, I made sure our senior citizens were included in Miami-Dade County's emergency meals program. While El Portal does not have an official senior community center, we do maintain an updated list of our senior citizens and look in on them because that is who we are. In addition, early on in the pandemic, I worked with a local organization to secure and deliver more than 200 face masks to the police department and village administration, and another 200 plus masks and gloves for residents at a time when these safeguards were scarce. I also played a critical role in the crafting of the Miami-Dade County Safer at Home concept and emergency order. I, through the Miami-Dade County League of Cities, worked closely with the county to enact emergency orders in response to the COVID-19 outbreak that were based on important data that was shared and analyzed by state and local health experts. During all this, I thought of you, our residents, when businesses were closed and now as they reopen, in a methodical, data-based, scientific approach to ensure your safety, which is paramount to me. Keeping a close eye on the latest health developments is important, and maintaining strong relationships with key stakeholders in our business community and area nonprofits is essential. Bottom line, consistent messaging and well-organized and executed plans save lives. To this day, Miami-Dade's municipal mayors continue to meet on a weekly basis to discuss best practices on dealing with COVID-19. And I, more recently, now as the league's past president, continue to work closely with the Miami-Dade County government to ensure the village of El Portal is properly taken care of. Where with my voice, I have made sure that El Portal is one of the 34 municipalities not only represented, but also heard. And although this is my last term, I remain a strong and steady voice for our community within Miami-Dade County, across South Florida, and even up in Tallahassee. This is the type of leadership that our residents deserve, and this should be expected for all El Portal leaders. After all, the future of our village is dependent on us, and we cannot waver. Together, we must continue working on creating a brighter, more sustainable future for El Portal, which has long been my priority. When I took office, my first order of business as mayor was to begin drafting key community planning regulations within a comprehensive plan that were representative of our residents' interests. We progressively hired an urban planning firm, Placerbia Design. And shortly thereafter, we adopted the village's first environmentally friendly form-based code that continues to serve as a guiding light for all development and redevelopment projects in El Portal. El Portal is a state of Florida designated bird sanctuary and a haven to Florida's endangered manatees and other wildlife such as coyotes and foxes. We are also home to the historic Tequesta Indian Mound. As such, we don't just allow others to build and rebuild. We are a big part of the process from start to finish. Our goal is always taking into account the necessary protections for the overall quality of life in El Portal, as we must honor what was, what is, and also prepare for what could be, which is a community where our children, our seniors, and our families and businesses can thrive. Fellow neighbors, the future in El Portal has arrived, and as a result of the groundwork we have laid out, we are ready for the Cavista development and Skateboard Miami projects to commence, right on the border where the city of Miami and our village meet. Skateboard Miami just celebrated its groundbreaking ceremony on October 1st. In spring 2021, this much-needed recreational venue will include a covered outdoor space, a planned food hall, and pop-up retail space for residents and visitors of all ages. In addition, the Cavista development is moving along. El Portal received the first portion of over $1 million in exaction payments for the mid-rise apartment project with ground floor workspaces. The Cavista will be built on 2 acres on the vacant land we annexed within El Portal, which is west of Biscayne Boulevard on Northeast 83rd Street. The Cavista development is also adjacent to the former Little Farm site, which will also serve as an economic engine within El Portal. Slated for the Little Farm property is a mixed-use development that will generate commercial tax dollars for the community. It includes a recently proposed Brightline commuter rail station servicing the Upper East Side. As a supporter of the Northeast Corridor Coalition, I am representing our village alongside more than 40 prominent businesses, education institutions, and organizations who are advocating for a major expansion of the commuter rail service with 5 new stops in Miami-Dade County between downtown and Aventura, and hopefully one, as proposed at the Little Farm, will become a reality for El Portal. I believe this train station in El Portal could generate needed jobs and get cars off the road, providing an eco-friendly alternative to that Monday traffic jam on I-95 or along Biscayne Boulevard. A few years ago, the village rezoned to enable future development along the thoroughfare of Northeast 2nd Avenue. We are focused on reactivating this space to make room for more walkability and access to dining and shopping. This is illustrated in the community's 2013-2014 Village Charrette as we continue creating a more safe and connected community. What happens next in that regard are continued conversations with government agencies about slowing traffic and redesigning the Northeast 2nd Avenue roadway to feature parallel parking, crosswalks, and bike lanes, among other enhancements. And as those details are ironed out, which will take some time and commitment, for right now, let's celebrate the village's first architectural pattern book. I, like you, am proud of our unique neighborhoods in El Portal, such as Sherwood Forest, El Jardín, the West Side, etc. And this guide will clearly define character and scale to maintain a consistent look. This is why in July of 2019, with my recommendation, Placerbia Design, along with the community and village council input, commenced this task. The final touches are now being completed. Along those lines, since April, with the help of the village webmaster and Placerbia, planning and zoning documentation has been made available just a click away for greater access, transparency, and efficiency. With new homes and more updated homes comes an opportunity to build a more sustainable future. A sustainable future that includes solar power, because among many of our accomplishments in El Portal, I am proud as your mayor that in 2019, El Portal achieved the bronze designation from the National Soul Smart Program, better leveraging solar power in the Sunshine State. It's just another piece of my previously outlined roadmap to resilience and sustainability, a long-term plan with 3, 5, and 10-year benchmarks that we have taken on together to address village infrastructure needs. As such, at my direction, we established this year a resident-led resiliency and sustainability task force chaired by El Portal resident Elizabeth Carpenter. Going forward, this task force will weigh in on El Portal's critical safety and infrastructure needs and initiatives dealing with flood control, hurricane preparedness, and emergency operations. In order to further reinforce and build our community as I have since the beginning, I would encourage this task force to collaborate with the Little River Conservancy to complete the Little River Compact Initiative I advocated for in 2018. This collaboration will better protect our historic Little River by joining our efforts with those of neighboring communities and agencies. Along those lines, in 2017, I secured over $500,000 in state appropriation for funding for the El Jardín Stormwater Drainage Improvement Project, a legislative priority that was rightly addressed through my lobbying efforts with the state during the 2016-17 session. Because as you know, I have long stood up for El Portal and what is right in Tallahassee. In that respect, I am confident the village will soon see its FEMA reimbursement for the Hurricane Irma cleanup that was originally obligated to the state of Florida from the federal government on July 11, 2019. Upon receipt of the monies, the village's first order of business is to close out the village loan. While the timeline has not been to my liking, I refuse to allow anyone to slow our progress, even the federal government. In an effort to inject funds into the village, in the meantime, I secured more than $1 million as part of the Cavista development. This agreement to be used in El Portal is precisely delineated in the signed agreement. Hopefully you have seen the village's better branding with our blue street signs that spell out our bird sanctuary themed names for each street in the village, as well as our improved signage at our village entrance points. As councilperson and now your mayor, I assure you that every aspect of public safety in our village has always been of utmost importance to me. I do this because not only as your mayor, I am also a resident and business owner in El Portal, as I run a school for young children, so I am deeply invested in our community's families and their safety. With that, I have recommended and supported contributions to El Portal Police Department since I was first elected. Early on, I personally purchased and donated a bike to the department. I endorsed and voted to allocate an additional $25,000 toward equipment for the police department, as we must keep our officers prepared. In 2017, I spearheaded and requested that the council purchase 5 new police vehicles. And in 2018, I advocated and voted for the police officers to be granted take-home cars, a benefit our police officers have been requesting for years. Throughout 2017 and 2019, I leveraged my League of Cities relationships to secure the donation of multiple police vehicles from North Bay Village, the City of Homestead, and the Doral Police Department. For the community, I made sure monthly crime statistics were available on the village's website for transparency. Earlier this year, we purchased and deployed 2 mobile high-speed detection devices to stop speeding in the community. Additionally, new part-time officers have been sworn in, and the department has a formalized rank structure, further solidifying its ability to proactively police our community. Chief David Magnuson, hired as a result of the McGrath report, which identifies some shortcomings, is a great hire and is an asset to our community. He works closely with village staff and our Citizen Crime Watch Black captains to more effectively disseminate important information to our residents. I know Chief Magnuson believes in the value of communication, which has served us well in these tumultuous times, as well as the power of the Peacock Express, because he contributes every edition an educational and fantastic article. Lastly, in 2019, I introduced the annual Top Cop Award, and this year is no different. This year's Top Cop Award goes to Officer Paul Battaglia, where he was the driving force in Ring recognizing the El Portal Police Department as the nation's best small police department at the IACP conference for its ability to incorporate the Ring security system into our crime-solving capabilities. He also led the department over the past 12 months in the following categories: parking tickets issued, reports written, traffic warnings issued, and arrests made. Congratulations, Officer Battaglia. As we move into 2021, we will need community more than ever to help heal and to help rebuild. History has shown us that no issue is too small and no goal is too large, that when we work together, we realize that communication creates connection. It creates a stronger sense of community, and it creates progress regardless of the resources available to us and our long list of differences that so often mistakenly divide us. Each one of us can do more as individuals, and we should. It starts with us, the inspirational agents of change. The late Libby Bowen knew this. I owe a tremendous amount of gratitude to her for allowing me to carry on her legacy. She was a pillar in our community, a longtime resident, the wife of a former village mayor, and one of the founders of the original El Portal Women's Club. She strongly believed in community. Her blessing meant the world to me, as it has to countless others in El Portal who knew her. Many years ago, she said this to me just once: "It's my heart and soul, and I would do just anything for this community." I never forgot this, and I took it to heart throughout my 12 years of service to this community as a council person and then your mayor. Her words have resonated within me, and it is my hope that as I close out the 2020 State of the Village address, that something I have said has inspired you to get out and get involved, and even run for office, as there will be a special election here in El Portal in early 2021 for 2 open council seats. Earlier this month, I was selected to be featured as a Latina trailblazer for Hispanic Heritage Month. And I was asked, how have I stayed productive, positive, and maintained my life balance in 2020? And my response was, believe it or not, it was spending time with the kids and my childcare team at Miss Claudia's Village Academy, while being in the forefront of the COVID-19 response as president of the Miami-Dade County League of Cities. It brightened my every day in 2020. Because I rediscovered that my gift and purpose is being a public servant in every aspect of my life. As a military wife, essential childcare business owner, and as mayor, I always give back and place the needs of others before mine, and that's my happy place. My strong sense of civic duty and love for community cannot be muffled or suppressed. El Portal is my home, and it has been my honor to serve you as your mayor, and I am forever grateful and blessed to have served you for the last 12 years. Thank you.